Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
TTC school boards announce cancellation as heavy snowfall continues. Woman charged with attempted murder in TTC streetcar stabbing that left victim with life-altering injuries. Police. Commuters urged to use caution as winter storm begins dumping heavy snow on Toronto. Bank of Canada hikes key interest rate again but plans to hold rate. Pressure builds for Canada to send tanks to Ukraine after Germany gives okay. Justin Trudeau calls protesters who swarmed him outside Hamilton, Ontario restaurant handful of angry people.
These were the headlines and let's jump right into the details.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has called a group of protesters who swarmed him outside the Hamilton, Ontario restaurant on Tuesday a handful of angry people. Video posted to social media shows the Prime Minister walking into Jackson Square, a plaza located near James Street and York Boulevard, while a large group of people yell, swear, and call on him to resign. Uniformed officers are seen protecting Trudeau, ensuring he is able to walk through the street safely. Speaking with reporters on Wednesday, Trudeau reiterated that he has received a warm welcome from most of people in the city. Where is he visiting for a Liberal cabinet retreat? He was asked by a reporter if he felt the incident was a secure situation. A handful of angry people do not define what Hamilton is or what democracy is in this country, he replied. The welcome I have gotten here in Hamilton has been extraordinary. When asked if he is holding fewer large, open events because of his anger, Trudeau answered no. Trudeau is in Hamilton for a 3-day retreat with his cabinet, healthcare funding in addition to the threat of a recession were two topics being actively discussed. CTV News Toronto has reached out to Hamilton Police about the incident but has yet to receive a response.
In our democracy, that people can express their disagreement or displeasure or even anger with various governments. That's really important. And at the same time, our police services and institutions will ensure that those
violent attacks on public transit have reached crisis levels, the president of a major Canadian transit union said Wednesday, as he called for a national transit safety task force. The task force must include transit agencies from across the country and representatives from all levels of government, said Amalgamated Transit Union Canada National President John Denino. These attacks, not only at the Toronto Transit Commission but right across the country, are really at a crisis level, Denino said in an interview Wednesday. A task force should consider whether de-escalation training, harsher penalties, increased mental health funding, better housing supports, and greater police presence could help prevent violence on transit, Denino said. The call for a task force came after a number of violent attacks targeting workers and riders on the Toronto Transit Commission. In recent days, police have said a woman was stabbed on a streetcar, 2 uniformed TTC workers were assaulted on their way to work. A TTC driver was shot with a BB gun and a person wearing a religious head covering was hit at a subway station in an alleged hate-motivated assault. On Wednesday, a person was arrested after allegedly tasing 2 TTC workers with a syringe. Last month, a woman was stabbed to death and another was injured in a random attack on the Toronto subway train. Transit agencies need to be transparent about the extent of the safety issue, Denino said, calling for transparent reporting of violent incidents. Up to 3,000 transit operator or passenger assaults happen across Canada annually, he said, though more likely go unreported. When actions like increased visibility and vigilance from police and enforcement officers could make a difference in reducing violence, but increased transit funding and professionals trained to de-escalate mental health issues are needed as long-term solutions. We are asking our stakeholders, the federal government, provincial government, municipalities, and all transit agencies to come to the table and bring forth serious, concrete recommendations on how we can make a safer transit system in every jurisdiction, he said. We need to act now. Those getting around the Greater Toronto Area today are being advised to use caution and to leave extra time as a significant winter storm moves in to dump as much as 20 centimeters of the snow on the area. The city is preparing for a winter wall as the large snowstorm bears down on the region. The snow began falling late Wednesday morning and is expected to intensify in the afternoon and continue through Thursday. Toronto and much of southern Ontario are under a snowfall warning from Environment Canada. According to the weather agency, the storm could dump 15 to 20 centimeters on the city between Wednesday afternoon and Thursday morning, making for a potentially messy afternoon commute. City road crews were out early Wednesday, gearing up for one of the biggest storms of the season so far. The TTC said there could be service changes due to winter weather. Metrolink said that both trains will be operating on a reduced and adjusted schedule to ensure reliability and safety for passengers. The agency said customers could experience delays. Pearson International Airport also advised travelers to leave themselves extra time to get to their airport and to check their flight status before heading out. The storm has also led to some school bus cancellations in the region. School buses are running for public and Catholic schools in Toronto and most of the GTA. However, the city says the warming centers will be open at 7 p.m. for those who need to seek shelter from the storm. Toronto sat at around -1 Celsius earlier Wednesday, feeling more like -4 with the wind chill. Temperature expected to hover around zero for much of the day. Wind gusts of 40 to 60 kilometers are expected this afternoon. A low of -2 Celsius is expected overnight with a wind chill of -8. A high of -1 is expected Thursday, feeling more like -8 with the wind chill. The Bank of Canada raised its key interest rate by a quarter of percentage point Wednesday and said it expects this to be the last rate hike of the cycle. The rate increases marks the 8th consecutive hike since March as the central bank fights off decades high inflation. Its key interest rate now stands at 4.5%, the highest it's been since 2007. In a news release, Bank of Canada said the Canadian economy is still overheated, prompting its governing council to raise interest rates once again. However, if economic developments stay in line with its current projections, the central bank said it expects to hold its key interest rate at its current level. Wednesday's rate hike comes after months of slowing inflation. After peaking at 8.1% in the summer, Canada's annual inflation rate has steadily declined and reached 6.3% in December. The Bank of Canada also published its latest monetary policy report Wednesday, providing updated projections for the economy and inflation. According to the report, the central bank expects inflation to slow faster than it had previously anticipated. It's forecasting the annual inflation rate will fall to 3% by mid-2023 and to its 2% target in 2024. The slowdown in inflation has been attributed to declines in energy prices as well as easing in the global supply chain disruptions. At the same time, the labor market is still tight and inflation expectations among businesses and consumers are still elevated, the central bank said. Statistics Canada's latest labor force survey revealed unemployment in Canada is near historical lows, with the unemployment rate at 5% in December. While the Bank of Canada has previously raised concerns about the strong wage growth potentially feeding into inflation, it now says risks around a wage price spiral have declined as wage growth has plateaued. As high interest rates continue to affect the economy more broadly, the central bank expects the labor market to soften in the coming months. Although the Bank of Canada appears to be optimistic that it can hold interest rates at current levels, it's also keeping the door open to further action if necessary. After growing by 3.6% in 2022, the Bank of Canada is projecting the economy will grow by a modest 1% in 2023. Globally, the central bank said growth has been stronger than expected as consumers have continued to spend. While risks around inflation remaining higher than anticipated are of greater concern to the Bank of Canada, it notes that a severe global slowdown could pull the economy in another direction more rapidly. However, it estimates the risk of severe global downturn to have declined in recent months. Pressure is building for Canada to send some of its Leopard 2 battle tanks to Ukraine after Germany decided to provide the heavy weapons and allow other countries to do the same. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced his government's decision on Wednesday following weeks of hesitation that created impatience among his country's allies, saying Berlin will send 14 of its Leopard 2A6 tanks. Scholz's announcement came shortly before US President Joe Biden revealed plans to send 3 1M1 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, opening a potential floodgate following weeks of pleas by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. The goal is for Germany and its allies to provide Ukraine with 88 of the German-made Leopards, which would make up battalions and work alongside the US-made Abrams in launching counteroffensives against Russian forces. Yet while Poland has already promised to send Leopards if Germany agreed, and other European nations such as Finland and Spain have indicated a willingness to do the same, Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was more circumspect on Wednesday. NDP leader Jagmeet Singh was quick to throw his support behind the provision of Canadian tanks to Ukraine. The Canadian Armed Forces has 112 Leopard 2s in its inventory in a number of different variations. Those include 82 designed for combat and 30 that are used for engineering purposes and recovering disabled vehicles. Retired Lieutenant General and former Canadian Army Commander Jean-Marc Lantier said in an interview that any donation will almost certainly need to balance the needs of the benefits to Ukraine against the potential impact on Canada's military. Canada bought its Leopards from Germany during the war in Afghanistan. They are nationally divided into squadrons of 19 tanks each, with 2 squadrons in Edmonton and a third at CFB Gagetown, NB. Most of the rest are at the Armoured Training School in Gagetown. Adding to the pressure is the fact only about half of Canada's Leopards are operational on any given day due to maintenance and repair requirements for the surprisingly complex vehicles, he added. Department of National Defense spokesman Andrew McIlvey would not comment Wednesday on what percentage of the military's Leopard 2s are currently operational and how many are out of service for maintenance and other reasons. The question facing the government will ultimately be whether the benefit of sending tanks to Ukraine outweighs the impact on the military, Lantier said. If it does, another question will be whether those tanks would be replaced, and if so, how quickly. Conservative defense critic James Bizon told the Canadian press this week that Ottawa should consider sending tanks if it doesn't undermine the country's essential needs. If we are going to be sending out any of our tanks, we have to make sure that there are tanks being procured to replace anything that goes out of this country. A Toronto woman is facing an attempted murder charge after she allegedly stabbed a stranger multiple times on a TTC streetcar, leaving them with what police are calling life-altering injuries. Police responded to the area of Spadina and Sussex Avenues just after 2 p.m. Tuesday for stabbing call on board the vehicle. When they arrived, officers discovered a 23-year-old woman suffering from stab wounds to her head and face as a result of being slashed numerous times. She was rushed to the hospital with life-altering injuries, police said. The suspect, who police identified Wednesday as 43-year-old Leah Valdez, was still on scene following the incident and taken into custody. She is charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, carrying a concealed weapon, possessing a weapon dangerous to public peace, and possession of a prohibited or restricted weapon, knowing its possession is unauthorized. Valdez was scheduled to appear in courtroom on Wednesday morning. Police said Valdez and her alleged victim are not known to each other. The TTC has played host to a number of violent and sometimes random incidents over the last several months. Speaking to reporters at the scene, Inspector Laurie Cranberg said the Toronto Police Service is aware that there are ongoing issues with safety with the TTC. Earlier this month, the TTC board voted to approve a proposed $2.38 billion budget, which includes, among other things, millions of dollars to hire new special constables to increase safety. Meanwhile, the president of the Amalgamated Transit Union Canada said Wednesday that violent attacks on transit networks across the country have reached crisis levels and called for the convention of a national task force to address the issue. Those getting around the Greater Toronto Area today are being advised to use caution and to leave extra time as a significant winter storm moves in to dump as much as 20 centimeters of the snow on the area. The city is preparing for a winter wallop as the large snowstorm bears down on the region. The snow began falling late Wednesday morning and is expected to intensify in the afternoon and continue through Thursday. Toronto and much of southern Ontario are under a snowfall warning from Environment Canada. According to the weather agency, the storm could dump 15 to 20 centimeters on the city between Wednesday afternoon and Thursday morning, making for a potentially messy afternoon commute. City road crews were out early Wednesday, gearing up for one of the biggest storms of the season so far. The TTC said there could be service changes due to winter weather. Metrolink said that GO trains will be operating on a reduced and adjusted schedule to ensure reliability and safety for passengers. The agency said customers could experience delays. Pearson International Airport also advised travelers to leave themselves extra time to get to their airport and to check their flight status before heading out. The storm has also led to some school bus cancellations in the region. School buses are running for public and Catholic schools in Toronto and most of the GTA. However, the city says the warming centers will be open at 7 p.m. for those who need to seek shelter from the storm. Toronto sat at around -1 Celsius earlier Wednesday, feeling more like -4 with the wind chill. Temperature is expected to hover around zero for much of the day. Wind gusts of 40 to 60 kilometers are expected this afternoon. A low of -2 Celsius is expected overnight with a wind chill of -8. A high of -1 is expected Thursday, feeling more like -8 with the wind chill.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.